Welcome to Empty Nest video 1. We are going to talk about the act of sending them off to college. This video is going to help you with the quietness of your home and what that is going to entail, how to wrap your mindset around that, and not just survive this new chapter of your life, but thrive and feel good about it, because there's joy in every season. You just have to know how to pay attention and find it. Over 70% of parents experience grief during this transition time in their life, when we go from the busyness of raising our children for the last 18 years or plus to sending them away and sending them off into the real world, whether you're sending them to college, which many families are getting ready to do in August, or sending them to the military, which would be far more scary for me personally, or they got a job and they're moving out of your home. So when that last kid leaves, it doesn't have to destroy you. When the first kid leaves, it's a little transition. I've had 3 kids that I have sent, flown away, launched those birds out of the nest, and it doesn't have to destroy you. And there is some mindset tools that I'm going to teach and share with you. So you're going to get a notebook, but it's time to prepare to thrive, not just survive in this season. I promise you. You can do it. We can find the joy and the goodness in this season. There we go. My mic is on now, so hopefully it's sounding better. Raise your hand if it's sounding better. I'm going to share with you this thought process that you can use to help you get your mind wrapped around going through this transition. It is a big deal. There's not a lot of people, which really surprises me. If we raise children, eventually they fly the nest, they leave the house. So we all go through this, but there's not a lot of people that actually talk about it, which is shocking to me, actually. So I'm going to share with you this mindset process. So grab your notebook, get ready to take some notes. I'm going to give you some steps to go through on how to think about this next transition. And our thoughts are so powerful. If we can change our thoughts about this new season, our feelings can change, our emotions can change that are connected to those feelings, and our actions will be different because we changed our thoughts. And the results will change, which is what we want. We want this to turn into a positive season, not a pity party. Okay, so grab your notebook. All right, so you got your notebook. So we're going to write down some steps here, and this is going to be a thought process that you can go through anytime you feel stuck or not really sure what to do next or how to think about this situation. So for example, our situation right now is that your child is moving out of your home, and you are going to have an empty nest or emptier nest, right? So the situation cannot change. That's, it's the circumstance that we are dealing with. And we have to come to a spot where we have good thoughts about what's happening in our life. And we don't always have those happy thoughts. Sometimes, dread and doom is what sinks in, and our brains just our brains have a tendency to protect ourselves. They have a tendency to go to worst case scenario. We're wired that way. So when our brain goes to the worst case scenario, It's stressful, right? That's like, thinking like you get a diagnosis from the doctor and then you go to Dr. Google and you start looking up all the things and you're like, oh my gosh, why did I look that up? I don't want to know all of that and I don't want all of that in my brain. So our brains naturally go to worst case scenario, and it is a protection mechanism to keep us safe from danger. So it's natural and it's normal for our brains to do that. But the good news is we have power over our thoughts, and thoughts are more powerful than what you even think. More powerful than what you even give them power to be. But when I break this down for you and you practice this kind of mindset and way of thinking, it starts to make more sense. And you're like, wow, yeah, I can really tell a big difference in how I show up to certain situations, how I think about them, how I respond in those situations, what is the outcome because of the way that I thought about the situation or reacted to the situation. So it is a very powerful framework. So I want you to write this down. So what I want you to write down first is situation or circumstance. That is something that we cannot change. So right now, today, we're worried about an empty nest. How is that going to change? The situation is not going to change. It's happening. The kid is moving soon and you're going to have an empty nest, or they just moved and you have an empty nest, or your first kid's moving and you're going to have an emptier nest. It's still a big, big transition. So the first step is acknowledging the situation. It's something that no matter how hard we try, it's not going to change. It is the fact of the situation. So we got that down. Fact cannot change. We're going to learn how to deal with it. Okay? All right. So before I get into the next steps of how to reframe your thinking so that you don't stay in the doom and gloom part of the situation that you're in right now. So you can apply this to basically anything in life, but today we're talking about empty nesting and that transition that you're going to have to go through. So story time really quickly. So I have raised 3 children with my husband, and they have all flown the nest, all completely different times. Our oldest left at 17. She was a very young freshman in college. She was not quite 18 yet. And she moved to college, straight to 4-year college. Luckily, it was only an hour away. So that wasn't very stressful. In fact, all of our kids basically moved an hour away. They all went to the same school that we are alumni to as well. So it's all in the family. We're all Fresno State Bulldogs. Okay. So, luckily for us, they weren't that far. This, is a different transition when you are moving a kid all the way to a different state. That's going to take some more powerful thinking about the situation and some preparedness. There's things that you're going to want to prepare and gather information before you make that big, huge move. Luckily for our situation, our kids weren't going very far. Thank goodness. I don't know that my mama heart could have managed them moving across the states. Like, woo, that's tough. Hang in there, moms, if that is you. But a lot of this can still apply because there's still going to be some major mindset things that you could practice and work on. So, our first kid moved, and I had 2 more kids at home. We were still busy. We were a busy family, and sports and all the things, and school and working full time, and yes, so busy household. But it was weird. The first kid moves out, and it's like there's a little bit more silence in the home. It's not completely silent. We still have 2 kids here, but it's more silent than it was and a little more empty. And we've got an empty room. And it's just a very weird feeling. It takes a lot to get used to. But luckily, if you are lucky like me and have more than one kid that's going to leave your house, you have some distraction. So you have your other two kids that you are focused on finish raising and getting through school, right? So kid one, rough. We had a couple like sleepless nights a couple times, but everything was great. Everything turned out just fine. Luckily. So then when it came around to kid two, our middle child, she was also 17 when she moved out. It was a very strange time in the world. It was COVID. So she actually moved out early because they weren't going to in-person school. So she moved out early to get a job where she was going to start school in the fall. So she left in the spring before her high school graduation. But luckily she was just moving in with her sister. So her sister and her boyfriend, who became her husband, she moved in with them. So that kind of like calmed my mama heart down a little bit because I was like, okay, the middle child is under good supervision. I completely trust the older sibling and her husband, boyfriend at the time. So I knew she was in good hands. I knew she was going to be taken care of. I knew she was going to have food on the table. I knew she was going to be safe in a home. So that transition wasn't as hard. And then by the time summer was, over and she was starting college, there was still some preparatory things that I'll get into in a minute on how to kind of just prepare your mom nervous system for your child not living in your home anymore, and some information that you're going to want to gather so that you can have some peace of mind. Okay, so we will get to that. And then child 3 moved out, and luckily this was our son, so he stayed home 2 additional years because he was going to junior college, and he just moved out to the 4-year college a year ago. So he moved in with his long-time girlfriend, and that was a rough transition too. Probably even more rough for my husband because our son is like his little best friend, and it was really, really hard for him. And they do everything together. They have all the same hobbies. They talk on the phone like all day. No, not all day, but several times a day. It's a super sweet relationship. And that was hard because he was our last one. He was our baby. And it was kind of like a little bit of dread, like before he moved out. And I was really trying to practice my mindset steps that I'm going to finish sharing with you in a minute, because I didn't want to be so doom and gloom that I was hampering the time that we did have left with him at home. So we soaked up every minute that we could. And luckily for us, he likes hanging out with us, and he likes doing the same things that we like to do. Camp and go to the lake, and my husband and him ride motorcycles together all the time. So that part is great. We have a lot of similarities, and that part is wonderful because then we get to spend more time with him. But yeah, that last transition was rough. It was pretty rough because it was final, right? It was like, oh my gosh, he's not here anymore. And it is literally just you and me, honey. It's very quiet here. Now there's no one. Not that our son is loud. He's like a really quiet guy. But it's just like the house is empty. All we got is these 2 dogs. That's it. And us. So we will get into more stories of like the relationship part of being an empty nester. There is plenty to say about that as well. But that is kind of like our story of our empty nesting and kind of how it unfolded. And then I want to talk to you about the rest of the steps. So the first step is the situation.
the situation, it's permanent, it's not changing, it's happening, you've got to accept it, and now we got to deal. Now, the first part of dealing is going to be your thoughts. How are you feeling? What are you thinking about this time? Now, if you're still stuck in the doom and the gloom and all the depressing things that your brain can automatically go to, that's okay. That is part of the process. And it's good to process those thoughts and feelings and write them down, like write them in a journal. I'm a huge proponent in journaling. I write down lots of things every single day. I process my thoughts the best that way. So use your journal. Get one, start one, get a notebook. It doesn't matter what it is, or if you like to type it in your notes, whatever you like to do. Go ahead and start your journal, and you're going to practice your thoughts in a different way. So if your thoughts are still stuck in the negative, I want you to find a thought that you can just decide, I'm going to think about this in a positive light. For example, gosh, yeah, I acknowledged my feelings. Yeah, I'm sad. I'm losing this child. They're leaving my home. They're not losing them, but you know what I mean. They're not under my constant care and watch. And it's kind of like a grieving process. And you have to come to a point where you accept that that is what it is, and what is good about it. Well, the good is you should show up and be super happy for your kid. Your kid is probably got their own nerves and their own things going on. And if you could show up in a positive light, like, oh my gosh, look at this opportunity that you get to take. Look at this apartment you get to live in. Look at this opportunity for independence and living on your own and taking care of yourself, like all the things that you are going to grow into and become. This is the beginning, and it's exciting. It can be exciting. It depends on how you think about it. And what you think about it is how your feelings are going to be. It's all connected. So that's huge. Those are the first two things is a situation, something you cannot change. Your thoughts about that situation. Try to find something great that you can focus on, not the doom and gloom. And then your thoughts, when you can start switching those thoughts into something positive, something great to focus on, something like, I poured all I could into you for 18 years, and now you're ready to fly. You're ready to shine. You're ready to go out into the world and show us what you got. That's the thought you need to focus on. And that's the thought and the confidence that they probably, honestly, need from you. Because if they always get from you, oh my gosh, I'm so sad. Oh my gosh, I can't deal with this. Oh, texting them 500 times a day. Are you okay? What are you doing? Da, 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 da. And if you show up as this like very needy person, this very needy parent, that is not what's going to help them launch into their best life in this stage right now. Okay, so we have our situation, we have our thoughts that lead to our feelings. Now, the next step in this thought process is the action part. So, depending on what thoughts and feelings that we cultivate about the situation, depends on the actions that we are going to take. So, the actions could be if you're stuck in a negative, like doom and gloom, your actions are going to be very different than if you are in a thought process that's accepting and trying to make the best of the situation. So I think it's important that you get your thoughts and your feelings in a positive way. Like try to get into a positive mindset about things so that you can create some actions and some results that you're going to be happy with. And it makes all the difference in the world. So if you're stuck in the negative, your actions are going to be like maybe withdrawn, like kind of like in a depressed state, not enjoying the time that you have with your kid while they're still at home, or not enjoying the time when you get to talk to them on the phone or get to spend time with them and see them face to face again. Um, you could make it kind of miserable for both of you. And deep down in your heart, I know that that's not what you want. So if you can get to a place where you're like, okay, I'm going to take action here. What do I need to calm my nervous system, my mama heart down, and feel okay with this situation? So, some actions that you may want to take could be, all right, well, the situation's not changing. This is going to happen. I'm trying to get into a spot where I feel good about this situation and I can celebrate this situation with my child because this is a big milestone in your child's life. It's a big deal. So maybe that looks like, finding out and doing a little research ahead of time and, getting to know like and visiting the place where your child is going to live. Maybe get the manager's phone number, maybe an email address, maybe finding out where the local health center is where your child can go, and inevitably they're going to get sick. They're going to feel under the weather. They're going to need some urgent care or something. Finding that space, maybe writing down that address for yourself and for them, getting that information, getting that phone number. Maybe campus police number, just so you have that and so that they have that. If it's conducive to the situation, possibly getting one of the roommates' phone numbers. So if there's an emergency and you can't get a hold of your child, that you could check in with a roommate and see, hey, what's going on? Luckily in my situations, I always knew someone else that they were living with at the time, and I could check in with them if I needed to or couldn't find them or whatever. Tracking your kid. My kids are all adults now, and I track all of them. I know where they're at. I know where they're at all the time. Find My Friends makes it really easy on our iPhones, so that's what we use. I know there's like Life 360 and other things that you can use. They track me too. They know where I'm at. There's no big secret or anything. So it just gives you peace of mind. It gives that mama peace of mind. And my kids always understood that. If I know you're out at a party because it's college and that's what you're going to do, and I can wake up in the middle of the night and check my phone and just see like, okay, good. You're back at home. You're back at your apartment. You're where you're supposed to be. It just like gives a sense of calm. So I'm a big proponent in tracking your kids somehow. And we didn't have that. I mean, we didn't have that growing up, right? Like our parents could not do that. But we have that technology now. And hey, likely you still pay the phone bill, so you have the right to know where your kid is. And if they give you a stink about it, let them go pay for their own phone bill. See how that goes over real quick. So yes, they shouldn't give you a stink about it. Just tell them, this is what I need to feel. This is what I need to feel calm and okay and happy for you. But yeah, no, just prepare yourself and get the things that you need to have so that you feel good about the place that they're going. You should feel good about the place and feel comfortable with the place that they're going to. Many times I've sent, soup and medicine Instacarts over to my children that were sick. And, luckily mine were only an hour away, so I could also go and see them if I really needed to. But Instacart always came in clutch, and it's like, your mom's thinking about you. Here you go. Here's some Gatorade and soup and some medicine. I love you. I'll see you soon. Take care, hydrate, all that good stuff. So that's another little trick in the bag. We used that a lot. And then, the last step here is the results. So if you stay in that negative mindset, your actions are going to continue to be negative and your results are going to be negative. You're just going to feel depressed, withdrawn, not excited for your child, and it's not going to be a good experience for either one of you. And so when you can change your mindset and you can get to a place where you're confident and you feel good about the situation and you're more in of a celebratory mood. Can I say that word? When you're celebrating this part of their life, right? And you want to be able to do that. This is their time to shine. You want to be in the front row. You want to be applauding them and cheering them on. This is like the joyous time of being a parent. You're like, look what I made and look what they are out doing in the world. I am so proud of them. This is when all of that stuff gets to happen, and that immense pride and just accomplishment of being their parent is realized. So you want to have those good results. Got to get that mindset in the right place here. So just to recap the mindset, you're going to have your situation. Remember, that cannot change. You're going to have to accept it. Then you're going to have your thoughts. Your thoughts lead to your feelings. It's okay to feel those feelings. Journal them out. Feel them. And then your feelings go in right into your actions. They can either be a positive action or they could be a negative action. And it's really up to you. You get to choose how you want to show up. Do you want to show up, Debbie Downer? Or do you want to show up as their biggest cheerleader? Because you probably want to be showing up as their biggest cheerleader. Or you wouldn't have listened to this video this long. That's what I'm saying. When I decided how I was going to think about this empty nesting season, I decided that it was like such a great time to cheer them on, but also a time to turn in and let that extra time that I have now, let me grow as a person, and let me get back to being creative and having time for things that I didn't have time to do when I was raising children. So everything changed. My mama heart is so full. Our times together now are more special. They're more intentional. I show up as a different person. I'm not showing up as the burnt out mom that, tried to do everything for everybody. I never really was that mom. I did really intentionally try to make my kids very self-sufficient, and that was on purpose. But yes, I invite you to use these mindset tools to create what you want your empty nest season to be. Remember, it really is the power of how you think about it and how you feel and how you act on it, and then that will come out in different results. It's the power of your thoughts and how you decide. You get to decide what kind of mom, what kind of supporter, what kind of an encourager do you want to be for your kids in this season. This is an exciting time for them. You should be excited too. This can be your most beautiful and wonderful season of life. It's really up to you and how you think about it. And if you like learning about empty nesting and learning about parenting and having these mindset tools kind of embedded in all of the things that I talk about, please follow along. Please like and subscribe, and also mention below. I personally would love to know, What is your biggest challenge when you are thinking about empty nesting? Whether it's approaching and you haven't experienced it yet, whether you've gone through it and it's something that you're still struggling with, please comment below. I would love that so much. And I would likely probably do a video on that topic. So I'd love to hear from you. But thank you so much. And please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.